Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode of FitzRupee Cast featuring DoW2 the Elite Mod. Red-Rupee here tonight calling the shots for you as always, and we've got a 3-on-3 on Estia Province. Gonna be full of crazy carnage, I can tell you. This one's gonna be nuts. On the blue side, we've got Fish as the Space Marine Apothecary alongside Hobbes as the Chaos Sorcerer, and their final ally, Commissar Vapor, Frozen Vapor as the Lord Commissar. Then returning we have Zeetorq, who brought us some sweet Chaos Sorcerer play. Hopefully he can take the game, as unlike last week. And then Broodwich as the apparent Starbucks champion here, the brother captain of the Starbucks army. And then Haidran as the Ravener Alpha, who's already way up on the field, infesting the map with tunnels and Tyrannid nastiness already. We've got a last turret going down for Mr. Zeetorq on the far side, trying to contest that Apothecary nice and early. The Apothecary looks like he spotted it and backed off. Oh, and we're going to have a good flank, it looks like, on coming in from those heretics of Mr. Hobbes. And for now, it looks like the Imperial Guard are just trying to hold the line against the Tyrannid and opposing Grey Knight forces. Got some sneaky sorcerer play coming in over here. Heretics moving in on the Imperial Guard position. Once this Doom Blast goes off, everything's going to be locked down, suppressed. Instant retreat from Mr. Zeetorq. He has to get the heck out of there. Hopefully he's going to scuttle that turret before it goes down here. And I think the Blues are going to be taking the contested victory point for the time being. Yep, the turret gets scuttled just in the nick of time. Up top, however, things are raging onward. Commissar facing off against the Starbucks Grey Knights. Although it doesn't look like that Sentinel and his guardsmen are going to be enough to hold the line, as the Chaos Sorcerer helped break the line down on the contested victory point. It's a 2-on-1 up here. Always interesting to see the dynamic of which teams decide to go to which locations to double up on. Estia Province especially, because you can really successfully push on two with either location. On some maps, it's pretty apparent where you want to have two players and where you want to have one. But Estia, you can kind of push this contested area over here, or you can push for power in the early game. You can really go either way. Commissar getting upgraded with that power sword as being against power armor. That's the weapon you want. But some Vengeance round heavy bolters over here are going to make short work of him. That power sword's actually a pretty impressive upgrade. I think it near doubles his damage. And then, of course, you count in the extra 30% that he gets against power armor, since it's a power weapon. And it makes him a real threat against Space Marine forces, even with that Apothecary heal. If he gets in on your Space Marines, it becomes very difficult. Vengeance rounds getting activated, lighten up some guardsmen infantry at range. People tell me I should get that upgrade more often. I tend to forget about it. It's always intimidating too if you're not thinking you're going to go for a second dev, because then you're locked into those Vengeance rounds and can't get yourself a las cannon if required. Got a Rhino on the field for our Grey Knight buddies. Catachan Devils coming out here as well. Raveners got some tunnels way back here, getting a Gen Bash in on the blue team, while pretty much the majority of their forces are pushing on this VP. It's got the Sorcerer, Imperial Guard, and Space Marines all hanging out over here. And we're seeing some nice duplicitous Sorcerer play with this Siege Worship, getting the Havocs in position, sneaking around the Chaos Space Marines. Doom Blast going off, doing some big damage, long range damage. Artillery shot Doom Blast right on top of those strike squads. But it looks like everything's routed for the time being. Over on the eastern side of the map, we got Tyrannid forces defending their gen farm. And if you can look at the map, you see there's tunnels all over the place. The infestation's really spreading. They need to get some exterminators over here ASAP if they want to be able to control this map at all. The Ravener's ability to just jump around the map at will is extremely useful on these bigger 3-on-3 maps. The ability to just constantly pressure that power farm and then support your allies at the same time. If you can just pop a tunnel over here be from one side of the map to the other in the blink of an eye. Really makes it difficult for the opposing team to decide where to engage. Commissar's trying to get in here using that, I think it's lead by example, is that what it is? Yeah, lead by example, which is a Force Commander-esque battle cry, gives him a knockdown series of attacks and lightly buffs all his nearby units. Oh my goodness, some good-looking Doom Blasts going down once again. That Devastator needs to get out of there, though. It's going to go down to those Raveners, but a Sentinel stop may well have saved its life. Will the Brother Captain get that last swing in? It doesn't look like it. That Devastator's pulling away, retreating at full speed, and the Rhino's backing off as there's just a bit too much firepower for it to deal with. The Rhino at this early game stage only has that super heavy infantry armor, so light arms fire will eventually break this thing down. Meanwhile, lots of troops hanging out inside that lone Space Marine, shooting that bolter on top. Commissar blasting one of those catechins to get them back out there, but that may not have been the right choice. Those catechins are pretty weak. Probably should have just hit one of those guardsmen instead. Those catechins don't have the range that they could have threatened that Rhino without getting into some serious heavy fire on their own, and it looks like, yeah, he's lost 3 models. That's not super cheap for catechins. Sentinel in a lot of trouble, taking tons of focus fire. Commissar's trying to go in there and finish it off. Might be able to swing his sword. Oh, one final peck from the opposing Sentinel before the Commissar went in and, I guess, cut that Achilles tendon on that Sentinel leg there. People heading into Tier 2 now. We've got Hobbes and Zeetorq all heading into Tier 2. Haidran not far behind. Devastator's trying to stop this push, putting down some suppressing fire. Actually, I guess those were vengeance rounds. That wasn't suppressing. That was just some explosive shells in your face. Victory points are all but tied up at this point in the game. They've kind of been changing back and forth a lot. Oh, here comes someone's about to get a face full of havoc fire. Oh! Raveners immediately losing a model. However, that Commissar managed to get in there, taking a bit too much damage in the meantime, though. Oh, Las Rhinos on the field, already Tier 2, already upgraded. Oh, turned into bits, that poor heretic. Taking a full-on Las Cannon blast right to the torso, and he got turned into just a little pile of blood. That Las Rhino is extremely dangerous. That thing is primarily an anti-vehicle weapon, but I tell you what, it does some pretty heavy damage to infantry when it hits. Pretty much like having a little speedy tank in Tier 2. Doesn't have all the extra accoutrements, but that Las Cannon is about all you need. Oh man, taking out a couple catechins right there as well. Must have a little splash on that Las Cannon too. Commissar's not afraid though. He's just gonna run up to it and hit it. I mean, that's his whole MO, right? He just wants to hit things with his sword all day, every day, and that's what he's getting to do. Unfortunately, it's the cost of a lot of catechins. Smoke bomb goes down to cover, hopefully, the retreat, but these catechins get dangerously low. Flare goes off. Will it be enough to prevent that Rhino? That Rhino's moving out of the smoke. 1 HP! A single HP! Oh, and a misfire. That catechin must have moved out of sight range of that Rhino just at the moment of firing, escaping with a single HP. Very fortunate for Mr. Commissar Vapor. Commissar Lord getting knocked all over the place. Apothecary doing everything in his power to prevent that guy from getting into melee. He's got shotguns. He's got that full auto customized Storm Bolter. Lost himself a few gens to those flamer attacks, but here comes the Tyrannid forces, backing everything up, pushing them back. Dreadnought on the field for Hobsan, gonna be moving out here into the middle of the map. Or wait, no, that's the Rhino out here. My apologies, I thought that was... I'm getting my colors confused again, folks. Rhino goes down, though, taking that Siege Las Cannon havoc fire. It's gonna be very important to keep that thing off of the field, especially if you're starting to have vehicles of your own, because that thing can kite dreadnoughts like nobody's business. Big ranged force moving in here. Plasma Guardians and Raveners, Termagants, and of course those all-important Venom Cannons with that ranged Synapse. see, did the Ravener choose? The Ravener's got, yeah, the Ravener has his Synapse Aura as well, so this is going to be a really nasty range force to deal with. We've got Zeetorq's Commissar with the Power Sword. Commissar Vapor, however, going for that nasty Xeno Power Claw instead, giving him that big, heavy melee boost. Going to be a threat to vehicles and units of all kinds at this point. Apothecary trying to lock down this victory point, but those setup squads can't do too much unless you already own the point. Right now, they're just kind of sitting there staring at nothing. Angry Dreadnought chasing after a retreating Zoanthrope. Got to be very careful with that Blood Rage. I guess as playing the Sorcerer, you don't have to be as careful because you can teleport him out of there if necessary. And it looks like he's just stomping on away.
Allied infantry are dying. We must support them.
Going on in the center, 266 to 440 though. Blue team's got quite a victory point deficit on their hands at this point in the game. That Chaos Dreadnought with the Mark of Corn there, that happy hug bot, just wants to hug everybody. Keeping those Tyranids off the field once again, getting another quick retreat there, being very, very aggressive with that Dreadnought. Nemesis Demon Hammer, that's uncommon to see. Normally you almost always see that that nasty Force Halberd. Ogryn squads with some sort of buff on them, tearing through these Plasma Devastators. Which buff is that? That is... Oh, that's the Bionic Eye. That's Inspired Determination. That actually is a more powerful version of Inspired Courage. It also increases the speed, I believe, if I remember correctly, of the targeted squad in addition to doubling their damage for a short time. So just imagine double damage, speedy Ogryns charging at you. Sentinel's still on the field, which is very important at this stage of the game. People discount how useful it is to have that Sentinel in Tier 2 and Tier 3, but having that very mobile, as you can see, anti-vehicle weapon is pretty huge coming into the later stages of the game. So when you can keep that Sentinel up, it makes an important difference. This Dreadnought, it might actually well fall to these Dreadnoughts and the, well, I don't know. Yeah, the Scouts moved in, another Ogryn goes down. That melee resist aura really makes, or sorry, that melee resist buff that all the melee Dreadnoughts have gotten really makes those Dreads a threat to those bigger melee squads as would be expected these days. Everything's moving in on this mid-range blob. All Reliable goes off. Oh, and it looks like right into a beautiful Manticore strike. Nicely played by Mr. Vapor. The All Reliable into the All Manticore. Singularly forcing a full retreat. Ooh! Plasma Dev. That's what I love to see. Unfortunately, it's not firing anymore. It looks like it de-set up while that Brother Captain was moving on in. Brother Captain's not getting out of there alive. Between two Dreadnoughts, that's not where you want to be. Smacked down, to say the least. So all is quiet for the time being. Blue team's still looking pretty rough. As far as victory points, they need to do something to get out here. Fish is heading into Tier 3. Let's see what he's got resources for. Nothing immediately. He's approaching... No, he's not even got the red to make any call-ins, so he's going to pretty much be relying on either Predators or perhaps a Land Raider. A Land Raider, of course, parked on this point makes it a very difficult spot to push by the opposing team. Nid's way back in enemy territory there. And it looks like... I'm not sure what these guys are doing. Maybe they're on a Manticore hunt, perhaps? Yeah, the Manticore is getting the heck out of there. It looks like Haidran was trying to find himself an easy Manticore kill, but unfortunately went a little too close to those base turrets, and it didn't quite work out for him. Down bottom, we've got a big Imperial Guard push here once again with those Ogryns charging in on the setup squads. And now that Dreadnought does have its assault cannon, I think once the Dreadnoughts get their range upgrades, they do lose their melee resist. I'm not sure about that. I don't remember. This Commissar now upgraded with his stubbornness as well. Ogrins putting some pressure on the Dreadnought, getting pretty beat up pretty quickly by those Ogrins. But I think it will be able to fall back to the safety, relative safety anyways, of those base turrets in the meantime. Starbucks army getting pushed back here. Purgation Squad, Strike Squad, and Inquisitorial Stormtroopers are all he owns at this point. Commissar, oh, this Commissar going, while one is trying to inspire determination, the other's inspiring terror. Going for a much scarier Commissar build with that Xeno Power Claw and the Flak Jacket. Trying to take out as many enemies as possible. So, cool to see two very different Commissar builds in one game. One a very kind of buff army support style Commissar, and the other just an offensive juggernaut over here with the Xeno Power Claw. Blue team's trying to close that gap out. Little by little, though, they are falling behind. Uh-oh. It looks like we might get the kill once again. This time the Manticore wasn't so lucky. Tyranids managed to get in there. The whole army does get suppressed. And the fear of another flare forces them on out of there. Flare landed just a bit too late to save that Manticore. Oh, we come down the bottom just in time for a nice plasma dev hit. Followed by an assault cannon barrage, but that's not enough to scare off those Ogrins. I'm not sure if Inspire Courage flat out or Inspire Determination flat out kills the unit. It looks like these Ogrins have been charging with 3. Is he using Inspire Determination, killing the Bonehead, and then repurchasing the Bonehead each time? I'm not sure. I'm not sure what's happening here. But Ogrins are about to try to smash up this Dreadnought once again. This Dreadnought's been fairly resilient so far. Landraider coming onto the field for Hobbes, as all he really purchased in Tier 2 was that Chaos Hugbot. And he's been saving up ever since. Fish sitting on a big pile of resource. He must be saving up for a Landraider as well. Carnifex coming onto the field. Broodwich. I guess he's got to be going for some Terminators at this point in the game. I'm not sure what happened. I don't see that Dread carcass anywhere. But it did go down. Ogrins have to get out of there at this point. Ooh! Vapor tries to save himself with an artillery squad shot there, but I think it, I don't think it quite worked out. Looks like the artillery squad went down. Catachan's still hanging out. Vapor doesn't have much of an on-the-field force. All he really has is the 2 guardsmen and the Catachans. He purchased another Manticore, so I guess his teammates are really going to have to be waiting. Oh, nice again. Well, I guess when you can force full retreats with a combination of Catachans and Manticore, you don't really need too much of a field presence anyways. Chaos Landraider now on the field, blasting away at the enemy. Of course, the Phobos is the most frail of the Landraiders, but that's not saying much. Still sitting on a nice pile of 2,000 health, but it is the least durable of all these guys. But that's, of course, because it's bristling with weapons. It's got those twin dual las cannons on either side that's just rip through just about anything that sit around under fire from that thing. Look at the damage it's doing to that Carnifex. It is moving a bit far forward without a lot of support. Gonna have to be careful as there is a flank coming in. Ogrins and that missile sentinel could prove to be a bit much. Capillary Tower going up behind the Landraider. Has he been using these to try to route vehicle retreats? I think he just throws them up behind the vehicle. Oh my gosh, that Ogren and all of this anti-vehicle fire destroys that Landraider. That's an early loss for Hobbes in Tier 3. Although, really, it looks like he hasn't been bleeding much. He has plenty. Yeah, he's going to just purchase it right back. He doesn't care. And again, with the knockback and Manticore strike, it's a good thing they retreated. Oh my goodness. because they would have gotten a face full of Manticore, they would have gotten some Doom Bolts, they would have gotten a little bit of everything had they not instantly hit that retreat button. He's doing it. That's just a really good job of dealing with that mid blob force. When people are just moving around in a pile like that, knock them back, drop a Manticore on their head. This commissar just doesn't even care. He's gonna punch this thing to death.
300 points remaining.
Plasma Dev with a whiff down bottom. Terminators are finally on the field for fish. Landraiders coming back out. Ooh, good shot from that Plasma Dev. Everything's moving in. Grey Knights got the Brother Captain on the flanking position. We got the Strike Squad moving in as well. He needs to get in on... Oh, there we go. There's the flare from the Commissar as support. Good team support here. The Sorcerer is moving in as well. Doom Bolts going off. Terminators and Purgation Squads, Psy Cannons, blasting everything. Oh man, madness. And it looks like red team's gonna take this point back for themselves. Plasma Devastator, oh, getting the wrong end of a power hammer there. That's the problem with those garrisons. You kind of find yourself in a tricky spot when that anti-garrison support comes on in here. Tyrannid's gonna start bashing some more power, but there's another Phobos. Phobos round 2 hitting the field here with the victory points sitting at about 200 apiece. Hugbot looks like he wants to give those Ogrins a hug, and the Ogrins want nothing of it. Apothecary's got the armor of the Apothecarian. Gonna be giving him some AoE healing. Of course, that improved medical equipment as well. Gonna make him a healing monster. He's got that blaster. He's just sticking in the back, keeping his squads healthy. Lots of range fire going back and forth here. We've got Tyrannids versus Imperial Guard up top. We got Grey Knights versus Space Marines on the bottom, with Imperial Guard support those Plasma Guardsmen. They're gonna put out a lot of damage if they can focus down those Space Marines. Everything's sitting in a pile, taking lots of damage. Will this Khorne Dread be able to survive the Paladin onslaught? I think it will, actually. I think they're going to have to get out of there. That is 2 melee Dreadnoughts and a Phobos. Brother Captain doesn't make it out alive, but his Paladins do, or at least 2 out of the 3 managed to escape that gauntlet. Lots of vehicle play this game. Dreadnoughts, Landraiders, there's a Lemon Russ onto the field. Of course, the Manticore we've been seeing so much of, and Carnifexes. These Tyrannids are just getting bigger and bigger as the game goes on. Hormagaun's realizing they are not going to get that cap. 177 to 264. And we're seeing less and less infantry, more and more vehicles. Zeetorq has a pretty infantry-focused build. He's been really putting these Ogrins to work. Brother Captain gets lifted up at the last second, sent on home. Patch up his wounds and get back on the field. Landraiders getting a patch job. It took quite a bit of heavy damage there in that last engagement. He doesn't want to lose that like he lost the first. Might not be so easy to recover from this time around. He's bringing a Chaos. Oh man, more vehicles. We got Chaos Predator coming out. We got another Lemon Russ hitting the field. This is my kind of game. It's going to be very difficult for these vehicles to approach this Tyrannid. Well, let's see. What is this? One is a Venom? No, they're both Barb Stranglers. I would have assumed one would have gone for a Venom Cannon. One would have stuck with a Barb Strangler, but... Oh my, it looks like the blue team's finally tired of these Ogrins. A good reaction by Hobbes there to get those Robes of Torment given in that Chains of Torment ability. Those Ogrins won't be able to run amok any longer, so long as the Chaos Sorcerer is around to support. That said, with 2 melee Dreadnoughts on the field, I'm not sure how much of a threat those are at this point anyways. Carnifex is looking for something to just hurl barbed stranglers onto. 163 to 264. Still anyone's game. The army bars are full for just about everyone. No one's sitting on major losses at this stage in the game. Tyranna formation going down. Not sure. That may have been a bit premature. I'm not sure what he's going for here. Doesn't look like it accomplished too much. Of course, those he will be getting those buffs from the capillary towers in that area for the time being. Barbed Stranglers, they do some reasonable anti-vehicle fire, but it's not that kind of sustained DPS you would like from a Venom Cannon, I feel like. Lemon Rust with the Executioner, that's going to be a huge threat to these Terminators, unless it gets itself blown up by that. Oh my gosh, look at the huge blasts coming off of that Landraider Phobos. Unfortunately, he couldn't keep eyes on that tank to finish it off, but it definitely scared it away for the time being. Up top, we've got even more tanks. Tanks are just blasting into these Terminators on either side. Terminator's probably going to have a hard time approaching anything in this game. Manticore trying to stay as close as it can to the action, but not put itself in danger. Of course, the closer that Manticore is, the faster those missiles will drop. Hugbot doing some damage, scaring off those Paladins. Those Paladins have been largely ineffectual, I feel like, so far this game. This Sentinel's still alive, almost a level 4 Sentinel. Chaos Dreadnought in a bit of trouble now that those Paladins have that side cannon. But of course it can just fall under the veil of some siege worship, saving itself a little bit longer. Needs to keep falling back though. And the Guardsmen are going to give that thing a patch job. They must be at least somewhat familiar with Dreadnought technology. Even though it's Chaos technology, you know, they'll figure it out. It's all the same. It's just a little spikier with Chaos. You gotta watch yourself on the edges there. You don't want to get Technus. 163 to 188. The Blues have managed to hold on to the victory points long enough to finally even up the score. But really, this can go any direction. There's the Vapors bringing on yet another Lemon Rust tank. Let's get a count here. We've got 1 Lemon Rust, we've got 2 Carnifexes, we've got 1 and a second coming up for Commissar Vapor, then we've got a Chaos Pred, a Phobos, a Dreadnought, and a Space Marine Dreadnought. My goodness. This is just huge, huge vehicle play. Manticore going down, trying to stop this down bottom. The anti-vehicle play is going to be where it's at this point. If you can break a couple of these tanks, that's going to be all that you need. These Chaos forces need to move up. It looks like the Reds are really pushing towards the top at this stage. Man, those Ogrins instantly getting obliterated by all of this tank fire. There is a Vindicare Assassin on the field. He does have a nice anti-vehicle, some sort of Melta-style sniper rifle, I think. Really threatens vehicles at long range, can do some pretty big damage if you're not paying attention to it.
We shall make it so.
There are so many vehicles on the field.
Attaching assault cannon. How can we serve?
Reds are trying to figure out how they want to push this. The Blues are kind of positioning themselves, preparing for the coming attack. Apothecary, man, look at that, keeping everything nice and healthy. He's up to 2 squads of Terminators now. He was floating like a madman, but I think he was just waiting for the Red to call down more Terminators. Since everyone else has vehicles, he's not overly concerned with... Oh, my gosh. Those Barbed Stranglers. So long as he's not losing models, though, he's just going to heal these guys right back up. Really good use of advanced healing, keeping those Space Marines and Terminators healthy and on the field. That's like normally the biggest drawbacks of Terminators is if they get beat up, you kind of have to send them back, and they're so painfully slow.
The enemy has 100 points remaining.
Is he pushing for power? I don't think pushing for power at this stage of the game is even relevant. Oh my gosh. Did you see those stern guards just obliterated? Oh, that was brutal. Brutal. And here comes a big combined surge. Imperial Guard and Tyranids all moving forward. Capillary Tower goes up to try to hunt down this Dreadnought that's been around for ages. Is that Emperor's Wrath? What is that? Let's check that Commissar. That's what it was. Emperor's Wrath is on the field now as well. Who needs a Manticore when your Commissar can just call in missiles on his own? Got the Tyranids pushing back all of these Terminators. Ogryns trying to prevent all the range damage they can. And I was initially not impressed with these Barbed Stranglers, but they are putting out the hurt. Ogryns finally go down. Those Ogryns have done so much work, but with all the tanks on the field, it might be past their prime time. Suddenly, it's the Reds' turn. The Blues have the initiative. The Reds need to get back into this game. We've got a Land Raider duel. We've got the Land Raider Crusader on the field now. Of course, that thing doesn't have much in the way of anti-vehicle weaponry. It's primarily a forward base and anti-infantry support. Of course, those Paladins and the Melta are enough to take out that Chaos Predator. Now this Crusader is the opposite of the Phobos. It is the most bulky of the Land Raiders, sitting at 3250. This Land Raider duel I don't think will end well for that Crusader though, so long as those shots keep landing. Man, look, that's just huge chunks of health off of that thing. The Executioner is in position to support, but again, if it's just one of these vehicles against the Phobos will win the vehicle fight. That tank finding itself in a bad position. Oh man, will it sneak around the corner in time? That Commissar Flare lining the pilots of that Phobos just long enough for that Lemon Rust to escape. It's going to be all about who can keep these tanks alive at this point in the game. 80 points apiece. Oh no, Vindicare goes down to some focused autocannon fire. That may well even have been the Inspired Terror that finished them off. Got to be very careful with that Vindicare when there's a Commissar on the field. Sanctified Ground going down once again, allowing these Paladins to charge in against the opposing Land Raider. This Crusader's still in a lot of trouble, though. Needs to get out of range of that Phobos before it gets annihilated. 66 to 84. And it's all going to be coming down to these next couple engagements. Repair trying to go down on that Crusader. It needs to get out of sight. It needs to keep backing up. A couple misfires there from the Phobos. Looks like it may allow it to escape for the time being. My God. Phobos goes down. It looks like once again the combined power of a Vanquisher Lemon Rust Cannon, a Manticore Strike, and that Executioner make short work of it. That Land Raider Crusader is going to be a big problem. It's not good that that survived for the blue team. I'd venture to say that that might be about it for them. That that Phobos rather. Oh, look at this, a summoning circle going down, but it looks like the Reds aren't going to be fool enough to fall for that. They take out the capturing squad, and now it's just target practice. I've never seen Bloodletters die so fast. 2 Chaos Predators moving in on the flank here. I'm not sure that's going to be enough for both the Vanquisher Lemon Rust and the Executioner. These Chaos Predators can do some damage, but they are unupgraded against a level 2 and level 1 Lemon Rust tanks. Those things are so bulky. Terminators look like they got a decap against the Tyranids at this stage of the game, but now they're in dire straits, all teleporting out of there. Managed to keep all but one of them alive, and the advanced healing is going to heal them back up ready for battle, but wow. Blue team's still holding on despite getting pushed back on that natural. 2 squads of venom cannons, barbed stranglers, the Tyranid forces recognizing that they need to eliminate all of the vehicles onto the field, or off of the field rather. This Manticore constantly tearing apart this Tyranid formation. Down bottom, Plasma Devastator, tanks, and more tanks. Terminators trying to do what they can against these Paladins. Paladins just trying to take out these tanks first, and then they can move in on the infantry once the vehicle threat is eliminated. Chaos Terminators capping under fire. Looks like they will be able to get this victory point, but I don't know how long they're going to hold it. Manticore Strike goes down, but doesn't finish off the Lemon Rust tank. That thing needs to go down. Wow, the Plasma Rifles actually finish that thing off with the Guardsman squads. This Crusader firing in all directions right now. Shooting infantry, taking out a Guardsman squad. Vengeance for that Lemon Rust tank. 26 to 42. And this is madness. This could still go any way. This Lemon Rust managing to take out its opposing tank and secure the point for the red teams. Is that another Manticore Strike? It sounds like it is. Oh! Las Cannon getting a parting shot on that heavily damaged Crusader. Terminators, or these Paladins rather, need to get out of there. They too are heavily damaged. Unlike the Space Marine Crusader, this does not have a passive healing aura. It instead regenerates energy. Trying to get the cap, but instead finding themselves under the orbital bombardment of las cannons from on high. These orbital cannons blasting everything around. Fist of Brachus keeps everything alive, but that might have bought enough time for the red team to finish this game out. 14 points ticking down for the blue team. Tyranids and Grey Knights and everyone all blasting all their firepower into the center. The cap goes down at 90 Ps. If they hold it, that will be enough to take this match, or at least prolong it, as there's still 40 points left for the opposing sides. Manticore Strike coming down, or nope, that's a Hell Fury. Finally taking out that Crusader. Lemon Rust has to fall back. Paladins in the middle of everything, trying to hack away whatever they can. There's another summoning circle though, and those Bloodletters will be able to finish off those Paladins. Still no cap on the contested point though, as the dual Carnifexes are moving in. One Thornback, one singular Barbed Strangler left. Double Manticores on the back line. Mines going down, trying to prevent everything from approaching this point. If the red team gets the cap, it's all over for the blues. The blues seem to be having trouble. The Manticores stopping the advance of the Space Marine Landraider that's finally onto the field. But that looks like it's going to be the game as the victory point changes hands to finish it out. My God. Complete and utter chaos here in the final stages of the game. The Reds looked like they had it just about locked down. Even if they hadn't finished that cap, just getting the decap was enough, I think, because the brother captain, the Starbucks brother captain up here, doing a little advertising on the natural victory points of the blue team. Oh, wow. Wow, wow. Look at all this. Tanks, Landraiders, Manticores, Carnifexes, Dreadnoughts. Ah, that's my favorite game I've ever done. Oh, I loved it. I love it. I love vehicle play, and that's all it was. That's all this game was, man, was just tons and tons of vehicles. The red team managed to hold on to their vehicles a bit longer, though. The blue team lost a pair of Landraiders, kind of, not in the early stages, but in the start of Tier 3. They lost that Phobos, and then they lost their second one without managing to take out that opposing Crusader. And I think that was the tipping point that started pushing it back into the Reds' favor, because the Blues had brought it back, but couldn't quite close it out. So victory for the red team there. And that's it for me. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe. I love hearing from you folks. Send me your replays. I need more replays all the time. Anyways, this is Red-Rupee. I'll catch you guys next time.